not get on a plane tomorrow to come back to Canada, to Toronto. But yeah, we'll have one more stream tomorrow here. And then Wednesday we'll be back to the normal Wildcard Wednesday. Yeah, Wildcard Wednesday on Wednesday morning. Even though I'll probably be in a weird place because of the time change. But we'll see. I'll probably bounce back all right. So yeah, today we're talking about on the Monday Memory. 25 years ago yesterday was the day that Vince Carter was awarded NBA Rookie of the Year. That's right, in 1999, May the 26th of 1999, Vince Carter given the NBA Rookie of the Year trophy for his first year. Of course, that year was a shortened year because of the strike. There was an NBA strike that year, and the season was shifted into January. They didn't play in the fall of '98, and they started this season late in January, and they played a shortened season from like January into May or something like that. So he won the Rookie of the Year now. So it's kind of cool. There's a picture of him on NBA Canada with Butch Carter, his coach at the time, holding the Rookie of the Year trophy. You know, in some ways, I wish Scotty had gotten a trophy like the one Vince had gotten instead of the little ball that they gave him. In some ways, I feel like that was a ripoff, and that they should have given him a substantial, large trophy with a plaque and the way that they used to give them. Like those old Rookie of the Year trophies were special in a certain way. So celebrating Vince being 25 years ago getting Rookie of the Year. And those were happier times with Vince at that time. That was a very good time around that time. Vince Carter and the Raptors, of course. Let's see what else is going on. Of course, on my community tab on this channel, I'm still continuing to document my 5-year anniversary of the championship. And the next clip that's going to be posted in a couple days from now is footage of me at game 1 of the finals against the Golden State Warriors, the Raptors, winning that game against the Warriors in game 1 of the finals. And I actually have footage of myself at the game, cheering at the game, and seeing stuff at the game on the next clip in the community tab coming up on the 5-year anniversary of that game, which is in just a few days. Now, also, we're going to have the 5-year anniversary of the championship when we won the championship. So that's going to be pretty cool. We'll definitely be celebrating that on this channel. So yeah, definitely check out the community tab. There's some fun stuff there. All right, let's go look at the Instagram stories. All right, Scotty's got a nice skyline picture of Hong Kong because he's there. He's been there for a couple of days, but you know what? In the next Instagram story, it shows that he's in the departure hall of the airport now. So I don't think he was there for very long. I think he went over there for like a day or two, and he is coming back already. So one-on-one, whoever was here yesterday asking me how long is he in Hong Kong? Well, not very long, because apparently he's in the departure hall as of 2 hours ago. And there's a Louis Vuitton bag he took a picture of. He's in the Louis Vuitton Hong Kong International Airport Departure Hall. And that was 2 hours ago. So he's probably on his way back to the States or to North America, maybe here to Toronto. Let's see. Lloyd, I think, was with him. Actually, it's very interesting. Lloyd has been taking pictures of himself in Asia. I think that he's been in Hong Kong with Scotty. So it could very well be that Lloyd was traveling with Scotty on this trip, which is cool. But yeah, he's in Japan. Never mind. Lloyd is in Japan. So they're in different places. Never mind. I'm wrong. So Lloyd went to Japan and Scotty went to Hong Kong. So yeah, Lloyd took a picture of a 7-Eleven in Japan. I think that's pretty funny that he wanted to take a picture of 7-Eleven in Japan. And then there's a picture of Lloyd at a vintage store with a bunch of old clothes and stuff, standing there wearing an Atlanta Braves hat. Lloyd, what up, Lloyd? What about Lloyd? That's right. I miss talking to you guys on Twitch. You guys are funny. Makur is next to a body of water. It looks like it's at a golf course. So yeah, that's where Makur is. Let's see. Mr. New York City went to church yesterday, and he's got live footage of himself at church listening to the sermon. He's saying amen 100%. I love it. I love the religiosity of our point guards on our Raptors team between Emmanuel Quickley and Mr. New York City, Marquise Noel, showing that love for Jesus and being good Christians and going to church on Sunday. So yeah, we had Emmanuel at church last week. Well, we got Marquise at church this week. Pretty cool stuff. He's saying, write the vision, make it clear. That's right. Write that vision and make it clear. Marquise Noel, that vision you have for your next part of your NBA career. All right, let's see. He's watching the playoff game from last night, Marquise, and he's saying that Daniel Gafford and the Dallas Mavericks are hooping. These boys are hooping. Yeah, Dallas won their game last night, and now it's 3-0 in both the conference finals. 3-0 for Dallas, 3-0 for Boston. Looks like that's going to be the finals matchup. Will there be two sweeps in the conference finals? I don't know if that's ever happened. It's kind of a weird situation. Knowing the NBA, they want to milk all the money they can get out of these series. So sweeps are not their favorite. Not their favorite at all. Will they do some convoluted shit and help the teams that are down 3-0 to stretch the series out for a few more games? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe they'll do this real quick. And the Mavs and the Celtics will be facing each other in the finals very soon. Of course, the Celtics and the Pacers play tonight. They could be eliminated tonight. And the Celtics moving on to the finals. But we'll have to see. It'd be very strange to see two sweeps in both the conference finals right now. But yeah, Dallas come to games and win. That's what Kyrie's been doing in his career. That's what he's all about. Thad Young has posted that his son, Thad Young Jr., has won the tournament. Yes, the Midwest Spring Circuit tournament. Really awesome. I know Shakina was a little worried about Thad Young Jr. for the game yesterday. And, well, success. He's holding the trophy. Undefeated is what Team Thad is saying today after a great showing by Thad Young Jr., an up-and-coming star. Trust me, that kid is going to be in the NBA someday. You're going to hear the name Thaddeus Young Jr. in the NBA. You've heard it first here on the Rapid Freak channel. That's right. And there's more of the team holding the banner of champs at the spring circuit. Very, very cool stuff to see. And I'm sure those kids love having an NBA player like Thaddeus Young around to kind of watch them and mentor them and kind of be there as a support. So I love that. Yeah, Thad's also posting a picture of a bunch of kids on the street playing games, playing basketball, playing with their bikes. And it says, those were the good old days. And he's saying the best days ever in this pic. Yeah, he's remembering back the day when kids played outside and rode bikes and played street hockey and street basketball and did things in the street. All right, let's see what else. Yeah, it's really cool to see Thad's support. All right, Gary Trent Sr. is out on a jet ski. He's probably down near Miami, Florida, somewhere on a jet ski. He's out there flying around on the water. Good stuff. I love to see Gary having fun. Gary Sr., always good to see them happening. And he has a suspicion that someone was wrong in a room, so he placed a camera, and the little dog unfolded the cover over the bed. That's such a weird video that he posted. Him and Chris post weird stuff. Javon Freeman Liberty has got a post out of him sitting there making the peace sign. And Emmanuel Quickly posted in the comments, Vaughn! Yeah, we want to see Javon Freeman Liberty have a good summer and a good summer league and come back and be refreshed and doing some good stuff next year. I want you to learn more defense and just maybe like expand your game, Javon, if you can. Miles Burns, it looks like he's on a roller coaster. He could be at, if he's at Wonderland, he's on the Thunder Run, whatever, the one that goes through the mountain. But if he's not at Wonderland, he's somewhere else. I don't know. Miles Burns on a roller coaster, and it says you as your own meme. And his meme is him on a roller coaster. And I guess it's just saying that his life is a roller coaster. His life is a roller coaster. Miles Burns, yeah. Let's see who else we got. We got Dennis. He's still promoting his new podcast with Ellen on Spotify. So check it out. It's That's Tough podcast on Apple, all kinds of different places. You can find Dennis Schroeder's new podcast, and his first episode is talking about racism in Germany, and denouncing it. All right. Then we got Chris Boucher, who's looking cool in his summer home. I think he's in St. Lucia in the picture. He's got a cool song going. Now, Chris has been posting some stuff, and I'm wondering if he's either broken up with someone in his private life or it's him talking about the Raptors. And either way, I don't like it. I don't want him to be sad and forlorn about love, and I don't want him to be talking about the Raptors like this. This is basically, you closed the chapter. I burnt the book. And it's the Pink Panther looking all cool with the bubble tea. Now, I don't understand that. Like, I think it may be a relationship he's had. Like, he's been maybe in a relationship and something happened in the relationship, and that may be him venting on that. I don't think it's about the Raptors because, in some ways, there's clues that show that it isn't. He's also got the measure of a man is what he does with power. And that's a quote by Plato. And, well, maybe this is Chris recognizing he has power in his situation right now and what's going on with him in his life in the NBA. So we'll have to see what happens with Chris this summer. Also, he's saying you're delusional, but you spelled sensational wrong, Shorty. That's pretty funny. That's a funny one right there. And then he's celebrating. This is interesting. Legacy Scotty posted pics and stuff on Instagram of the relationship between Scotty Barnes and Chris Boucher, and kind of celebrating them through the years. And well, Chris saw the post and he liked it and he reposted it in his Instagram stories. So the bond between Scotty Barnes and Chris Boucher is strong and is very real and is quite true. So I want to see what happens with Chris. I think that he'll be on our team next year, but who knows how Darko will use him? We'll have to see what happens. I don't know. Either way, Chris Boucher is going to be a beloved Raptors player, alumni, no matter what, forever. Unless he does some crazy shit right on the end. I don't think he will. He's a real one. He's Canadian. He's not going to do some Vince Carter jacked up shit. So sure. He's got his friend Keaton Shapiro with him. He's appreciate you always, brother. Really the best out there. Yeah, so he got a jersey, a Kansas jersey, and it looks like it's got really cool art on it, like of Grady shooting and dunking on it. Just a really nice jersey. This guy probably is a lot like Casey Bannerman. He's like a custom jersey guy. And he's making jerseys for athletes and giving them to people. And, well, he made one for Grady. Now, the thing I don't like is the guy's wearing Orlando Magic pants. So get out of there with your Orlando Magic pants, Keaton Shapiro. This man's a Raptor. And you need to get away from him with some ugly-ass Magic pants. All right, that's our Instagram stories for today. Just taking a look and seeing what the Raptors are posting on their Instagram stories. So Scotty is leaving Hong Kong now. Yeah. All right, let me look at the box score for the Dallas and Minnesota game last night. It looks like the game was tied going into the fourth, and the Mavericks just kind of separated themselves in the fourth quarter, outscoring them by 9 by the end of the game. The referees did give a lot more foul shots to the Mavericks. It looks like 31 foul shots to 17. So that's almost double the amount of foul shots. I do see that Karl Anthony Towns was absolute shit. He was 0 for 8 last night, 5 of 18 from the field, 14 points. It's never good when you have less points than shots taken. And he took 18 shots and only scored 14 points. That's really, really bad. McDaniels is all right. He bounced back, 6 for 8 with 15 points, sorry. Gobert, perfect 4 for 4, 6 rebounds. He just doesn't do enough to score. And if he's not doing enough defensively, obviously he's not doing enough defensively if the Mavs are outscoring them like crazy. Edwards was okay. He had a really big, huge, crazy dunk in this game where he really got up there and threw it down on Gafford. That was impressive, but that may be the only thing. That's sizzle. That's not steak, bro. That's not what win the game. You go ahead and have that big, huge dunk, but your team lost in the end. You're down 0-3. So, yeah, go ahead and enjoy highlight culture. But Kyrie and Luka are laughing all the way to winning. So, yeah, highlight culture is stupid. And they're going to show that dunk by Anthony Edwards over and over again like he won something. He didn't win jack shit. He lost. Naz Reid pretty good off the bench, though. But, yeah, I'm telling you, a big part of this is Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is a long-time vet in this league. In some ways, he's at the top of his game. His skills are not deteriorated physically, and he's highly mentally, top-notch. Because, look, you got to think about his history in the NBA. He won a championship with the Cavs and LeBron way back. But he's been on a lot of different teams that have had different struggles and ups and downs. He's had his own personal controversies and his time with Brooklyn. And he's had a whole serious toxicness with Boston Celtics when he played for them. So there's quite an odyssey and a journey for Kyrie Irving to be at this point where he's on the Mavericks with Luka Doncic, an up-and-coming young star. And in some ways, they could do something really special. I'm sure that Mark Cuban would be very, very happy. to see the Mavericks win another championship. I'm sure this new company that just bought the Mavericks, that they're like buying a team and they win the championship that same year, they're going to get a return on their investment immediately. And that's an interesting thing. I say that's fishy, especially if it's a betting company that bought the team and different things like that. Yeah, either way, it's suspicious whoever's going to win the championship this year. I'm going to say it's suspicious if the Celtics win. And already people are already saying that the Celtics, in some ways, this is going to be a fraudulent championship because of the very widespread injuries on the Eastern Conference side of the playoffs. Almost every team except for the Celtics. Now, the Celtics did have Porzingis out. But in some ways, I would tell you that's a bonus, not a bad thing. That's a good thing that Porzingis was out. But, other teams had very key players out, at every single one of them, pretty much. You got OG, you got Halliburton now out, you got Embiid, who is struggling about the Celtics right now. And I agree. But it's the way it is every year. Is the strong survive. The toughest team, the team that's the best team, that's not hurt, will win the NBA title. And that's just how it always has been. It's always been that way. It's been that way since the 60s. So people need to get over themselves as far as, blaming injuries and stuff like that. The champion is the champion, whoever gets there. And in some ways, I know I'm kind of contradicting what I said, but I will say also the NBA media machine wants the Celtics to win the championship. So I want to see Dallas win. I want to see Dallas win. So 33 points both from Kyrie and Luka. Fantastic shooting by both of them. Yeah, it's just that in some ways these guys are playing really efficient basketball. And honestly, Dallas Mavericks, they killed it at trade deadline. I thought that they did pretty good at the trade deadline, but it's really showing now just how crucial and important those two starters that they got in Gafford and Washington have been huge for them. PJ Washington has been a tough-nosed player for a long, long time in this league, but he was hidden away on the Hornets, kind of spoiling his talent there. And Gafford, kind of a similar thing with the Washington Wizards. Well, now they're going for it on reaching new heights. And Kyrie's really, really pleased with the role players on the Mavericks and what they're contributing to them doing really well. So yeah, good stuff. Yeah, that dunk is really cool that Anthony Edwards did. But that doesn't win the game. No, it don't. Go ahead. Everybody loved that dunk over and over again. It doesn't matter. Anyway. All right, let me see what y'all are saying in the comments. I'll wrap it up and I'll get the hell out of here. Yeah, I got to pack my bag. Monique's here. Morning. Safe travels back home tomorrow. Thank you, Monique. I appreciate that. She's also saying Chris Boucher will be back in Montreal June the 8th per Ibrahim, his manager. Okay, so he's on vacation in the islands probably for a while. Let's see. We've got who is this? H Kashaf. Welcome. I'm streaming talking about the Raptors every single day on this channel, talking about Raptors and NBA stuff. Let's see what you're saying. Watching the playoffs is making me realize how far Raptors are from any type of contention in the next few years. What types of moves are you expecting from Raptors management? Well, I don't agree with this, actually. I think that in some ways you can look at the end of the season and that's just really misguiding. Seriously. You cannot look at anything after the All-Star weekend after Scottie got hurt and judge anything about the Raptors. It's just not smart. Seriously. So everybody who thought that we tanked on purpose, everybody who thought that we were really bad on purpose is absolutely wrong. We were bad because Scottie broke his hand. We were bad because Jakob Poeltl broke his finger. And those two guys are our rebounding and our defense. And without those guys present on our team, well, it was like Tampa season. And it was losing a lot. And people thought we were doing that on purpose. No, we were not. We were not doing that on purpose. Now, the losing did have some good qualities to it because it did give us a chance to possibly keep our pick, but that did not happen. And that doesn't really matter either because we needed to give the pick to the Spurs either way. Now, I'll say this. Scottie and Jakob's hands heal, which is both injuries are injuries that won't linger for a long time. Like if they hurt their ankle, their knee, or any kind of joint, that's a way worse injury. So this is a good thing. Now, if they're completely healthy coming back, we have more time to integrate the brand new Raptors that we have, which are RJ Emmanuel, Kelly Olynyk, Oshai Abaji. We're going to be fine. We have a really good core, actually. And you will be shocked to see that we are still a playoff team next year. Watch. You think we're far away, but we're really not. We've just got to get, we get a good free agent this summer. I want to get a backup point guard. And also, we draft smart. If we draft a smart young talent, maybe a replacement for Koloko, since he's not going to be coming back because of his blood clots, we're going to be fine. I'm serious about this. There's two things that are really in our favor. It's Scotty and Darko. And Darko is absolutely an amazing coach, and most people are sleeping on him. They don't even actually understand this yet. They're going to see it more and more in the next couple of years. And people will realize that Masai and Bobby were really smart when they hired Darko Rajakovic. Scotty's going to make another leap this year. This summer, because he didn't get to play at the end of the season, he's hungry. And what he did last year was he learned how to work in the offseason to make leaps in his game. That was obvious by the way he came back in his third season, and he played very well. You've got to understand, Scott also said this on Instagram like a week ago. Oh, I got us. We're going to win again. I promise you, we are going to win again very soon. And I believe him. Masai Ujiri didn't try to do a rebuild. He did a reboot. And in some ways, we are not going fully young like an Oklahoma City or something like that. We're going to the level of young with Scotty and Oshai and RJ and Emmanuel and those guys. Grady may be the youngest kid coming into this group. So it's going to be good. We're going to be fantastic, honestly, because we have a really good team. And I think you're exactly wrong, man. And you'll see next year that I'm right. That when we're healthy and Jakob is present out there guarding the paint for us and Scotty's doing everything that he does, we kick ass. And you're going to see that. RJ's got an eye of the tiger that takes over games. And you're going to see that. You're going to see Emmanuel quickly continue to expand his game in similar ways to like Tyrese Maxey in the last year. And we're going to be fine. So I completely disagree with you that you think we're far away. We're not. And you're going to be shocked just how quickly we're becoming back to relevance as far as competing. Yeah. The end of last season, you can't count anything that happened when Scott's hurt. If Scott's not playing, well, that's not the real Raptors. You got to have Scotty Barnes on the court to gauge the team. And you can look at what happened at the end of the season and be, oh, we're so bad, we're never going to be good again. That's bullshit. Because when Jakob Poeltl's out there, he holds down the fort and he stops people from scoring on us. And Scotty is a talent that they're really not going to understand how to stop it soon because he can beat them in different ways. He's either stronger than them, faster than them, or he's going to do whatever the fuck he wants. Watch. He's that kind of superstar. People are sleeping on that. You don't even say, oh, Draymond, but that's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. He's way better than Draymond. And Draymond even admits that. And Draymond's pig-headed ass, he doesn't admit stuff like that very easily because he's such an arrogant bastard. And the fact that he already recognizes Scotty Barnes way better than me, people should realize that too because Draymond doesn't say shit like that very easily. In fact, people are coming down on Draymond pretty bad right now. I love it. Eddie Johnson, announcer for the Suns, other people in the media are saying that Draymond Green should not be doing media because his personal prejudices and feuds cloud his analyst judgment. NBA is trying to make Draymond Green the next Charles Barkley, but it's stupid because they're very different flavors of ice cream. Charles Barkley's funny. Charles Barkley is likable. Charles Barkley is funny when he's trying to be funny, and he's funny when he isn't trying to be funny. Draymond Green is not funny when he's trying to be funny. Draymond Green is not funny when he's not, at all. To me, honestly, he's an asshole. He's a bully. He's not very likable. Charles is likable. NBA, you're failing. You can't just anoint this is going to be the replacement for Charles and say this is going to be the guy, especially if he sucks as a broadcaster. He has biases, and he's not a real analyst. So, yeah, go ahead and discard that whole idea of going forward with Draymond Green. He's already shown his ass. And the real professionals that do the job correctly, like Eddie Johnson of the Phoenix Suns, they're calling you out for having a dumbass being such in the spotlight and trying to be groomed to be the next Charles Barkley. Yeah, just get over that. That's a really poor mistake. Draymond Green has no business in broadcasting. He can do his dumb little podcast at halftime, but he shouldn't be on a TNT or any other stage. Yeah, and TNT's not gonna have the contract anymore. Hopefully, he doesn't show up on places anymore after this. All right, that's pretty much my stream today. Talking about Vince Carter winning the Rookie of the Year 25 years ago yesterday, and also talking a little bit about the Mavericks going up 3-0 over the Timberwolves. Very disappointing to see the Timberwolves go like this. I mean, it's really been weird seeing them and also seeing the Thunder go out the way they have. He's saying, let's see. This guy, H Kashoff, is saying, I'm not saying this to piss you off. I'm genuinely concerned. We don't have lob threats. Our shooting is suspect outside the core four. Our bench depth is non-existent. We don't have lob threats. Well, that's just you're just talking about like the buzzword of the day because of Luka and the team that the Mavericks have. Come on, man. Everybody has different ways of building teams. And the Mavericks can have lob threats for Luka and stuff like that. We have lob threats. That's kind of bullshit. Because like Oshai's a lob threat. I'm gonna say that right now. Scotty's a lob threat. Chris Boucher's a lob threat. Listen. I know you're not saying it to piss me off. I'm just saying that. Look, part of it is I look at the positive side of things. And if you think that things are real negative with the Raptors, you're wrong. Because we've got Masai Ujiri, we've got Darko Rajakovic, and we got Scotty Barnes, and we're gonna be fine. And you'll see next year when everybody's healthy. We're going to win better next year. This year was a wash. I called this past year the wedgie year. Because a couple times during the season, if you notice, in Raptor games, I watched every single game, every single minute. The ball got wedged between the backboard and the hoop. In fact, Gary Trent Jr. did it in our last game of the season, I believe. And I said, that's perfect analogy for this season, the wedgie season. The wedged season between the last year of Nick and his fuckery and the beginning of finally getting through and changing the team from Anunoby and Siakam to the new era. So this is a wedgie season this past season. You can't judge anything by this past season. And when these guys come back from this off season, all working hard on their own time, and they come back as sum of all the parts of them and what they did, you're going to see something very different. You're going to be shocked, honestly. You're going to be shocked. Now, I'll go through each criticism, and I'll tell you exactly why you're wrong. Now, lob threat is important if you have a certain kind of way that you do things. Now, if your offense is a different kind of offense, it doesn't matter if you have lob threats. Our offense is a passing offense, and it's about finding the best open shot by moving around as much as possible. And in some ways, that can be a lob, but it doesn't have to be. And once again, I'll say everybody says the flavor of the month and what's winning the NBA, and they say, oh, everybody's got to copy this. No, you don't. There's like a million different ways to try and win a championship. That's what I'll say on that. So let's see. Our shooting is suspect outside the core four. Well, who do you say are the core four? Like, I don't know. We got Grady Dick, one of the best young shooters coming up. Scotty's getting better. RJ's going to try and get better as a shooter. He's gotten better as he's gone on in his career. Emmanuel Quickley is a very good shooter. I don't understand what you're saying. Gary Trent Jr. is statistically one of the better shooters. He had a bad year this year because he had plantar fasciitis in his foot, and it didn't work. We're actually collecting more shooters right now, and we've done better with getting shooters recently. So we'll have to see. Let's see what else he's saying. Outside of okay, our bench depth is non-existent. I'll agree with this one. And this is something where we can improve this summer. I didn't like some of the jabronis we were playing near the end of the season. I didn't like all the 905 guys being on the Raptors. They made us look bad. Because honestly, the 905 wasn't that good this year. And I could have done without having so many call-ups. I would have appreciated maybe going and getting other guys from other G League teams than all the 905 call-ups. Because some of those guys were not doing good things for us. And yeah, those spots can be improved immensely. Oh yeah, those spots can be improved for sure. Let's see. We got Daniel Bent, Sports Highlights. Morning. You a Raptors fan? Nice. Subbed. Happy Siakam success. Pacers. Yeah, I'm hoping that Siakam can do something tonight in the last game. Hopefully they beat them tonight, because who knows? If they don't, well, they're swept. And, it's now or never, Siakam. He's been in his back against his wall before. And I want to say this also about Anunoby and Siakam. I hope that they both re-sign with the teams they're on right now. I like Siakam on the Pacers a lot. And I think that it's a good fit. And Anunoby also, although there's overtures right now that OG may not be coming back to New York. That he might be testing the market and going to get paid. I'm hearing that Precious might even be leaving New York too. So both those guys are going to look for money, and that's part of the reason why the Raptors had to trade them this year, is because they knew this summer come around that OG and Pascal's prices are going up, up. And in some ways, we got good value for what we paid for them the last couple of years. It may not be as good a value after this contract. Let's just say that. Yeah, I appreciate your sub, man. Kashaf saying we don't have a replacement for OG. Core four is Scotty, Quickly, Barrett, and Dick. Yeah. All right, I can agree with that. All right, we don't have a replacement for OG? Well, in some ways, what we've got to do is either draft one. I think that Oshai is going to be an interesting player. Oshai is a defensive stopper, and he is very young. And in some ways, Abaji is going to be a new kind of OG player for us. Watch this year coming up. He's going to be more of an interesting stopper for us. And you may be very surprised at how good Abaji is on defense. So pay attention to him in relation to this whole thing. There's only one OG in the league. And that's why in some ways he's so sought after and he's such an X factor. And it was really felt when the Knicks got him in their record. And we knew it too for the years he was on the Raptors. Games that OG played, we had a much better chance to win than when he wasn't there. I mean, he's really hard to replace no matter what. The core four is Scotty, Quickly, Barrett, and Dick. Yeah. And Pirtle, and Olenek, and Abaji. Yeah, there's like 7 or 8 guys that are for sure next year. I would add Jordan Wara is probably going to be likely on the team again next year. I believe Chris Boucher is still on contract, so he will be back next year. But we don't know about Gary Trent. That's an interesting thing. Bruce Brown should be gone for sure. So we'll have to see how it works. Let's see. Daniel saying, when teams win the championship, keep the same team. Yeah, I wish that we were able to do that, but Kawhi screwed that up. And in some ways, that was his mistake to make, and he left the championship on the table probably with us. I mean, seriously, we had the best record ever in Raptors history the year after Kawhi left. The Raptors' best season ever was the year that COVID started and Rudy Gobert touched the microphones. At that time, the Raptors had their highest winning percentage in their history of their franchise. And Kawhi didn't play a damn game that year. So Kawhi's calculation that he didn't think the team was good enough to repeat, he was so full of shit and stupid. And he shouldn't have listened to Uncle Dennis. He should have done one more year with the Raptors to try and run it back and repeat. If he did not win the second year, I wouldn't have faulted him for going to the Clippers. But he didn't give us a chance to try and repeat with the same team that we had. And I agree with you. I think that was kind of fucked up. Yeah. Let's see. Daniel saying, hopefully Mavs win it, not Boston. I'm totally with you on that. I want Kyrie Irving to break their hearts so bad, do something disrespectful to that Shamrock leprechaun in the middle of their court. Do something like that, Kyrie. Please do it. In some ways, it's weird because I'm a Kyrie fan in some ways. Marquise Noel posted on his Twitter last night that Kyrie has the best handles in the history of the NBA. And I have to agree. In some ways, Kyrie Irving is something else. He may be a knucklehead when it comes to certain political subjects and certain things, but he is absolutely a bona fide, top-notch, Hall of Fame, amazing player in the history of the NBA. And I respect him for that. And in some ways, I want to respect him to beating this Celtics team in the finals if that's what's going to happen, for sure. Yeah, let's see. Ashraf saying, we don't have one if the pipeline is 905. Bench needs a retail. I am hoping to move on from Trent Jr., too inconsistent, and Bruce Brown. I'm kind of with you on this. I mean, Gary's really pissed me off in the last year. I feel like there's something weird with him being a clutch client. That's a problem. And yeah, I'm not a huge fan of keeping Gary, but I'm also kind of like, if we do, I'm okay with it too. I don't know. I'm 50-50 on him. If we do, it better be the right price, is what I'm saying. And you're saying, yeah, the pipeline from the 905 has been hurting. We used to have a really good pipeline, like when Freddie and Pascal and all those guys were there. Norman was there, DeLon Wright. And the pipeline kind of dried up. I'm not very happy with the players they've been bringing to 905 the last 2 years. I feel like Luke Wynn, the GM of 905, could be doing a very better job. And we'll have to see if he does a better job this summer in building the new 905 for next year. Also, their coach has been horrible. That's another been problem. Eric Curry never ever should have been a head coach of the 905. And hopefully he is not going to be the coach next year. And that's part of what's been screwing us up, is we're not getting the good talent coming up from the 905 system because it's been inept. And honestly, it's really been pissing me off because I see the connection between our success before and having it as a wave coming up from the G League level into our main team. And that was Fred VanVleet. That was Norman Powell. That was DeLon Wright. And there's no kind of wave like that coming up. And there are other teams in the league that are getting good waves of good G League players coming and helping on the main roster level at certain points. And I don't like that. The Raptors need to do a better job of doing that. In some ways, I blame Nick Nurse for screwing this up in his years because he was anti-development. And in some ways, he did not help foster. It's almost like Casey, when he was our coach, did such a good job developing the 905 and brought the spoils all the way up to the NBA championship in 2019. And then when Nurse became the coach, 905 went to shit. It absolutely went to shit in the 5 years of Nick Nurse coaching us. So I blame Nick Nurse for why the 905 is sucky right now. Is Casey, I don't know, some way we got it. That's a really quick, easy way to help the Raptors be better faster is bring in some more talent. I like Makur. I like Mohamedou Gay. I like a lot of the young players that are there, but in some ways I didn't feel like they're doing the right things down there. They're not learning the right way. Like, I don't want the coach to be learning on the job just like the players. The coach should know what he's doing so he can teach them. When the coach is learning also, that's fucked up. That's no good. And that's why Eric Curry should have never been coaching that team. So let's see what else is going on. RJ Barrett and Quickly were good pieces. Yeah, they're very good pieces, and they're going to get better. The thing about RJ that's interesting is that RJ is dedicating this summer to getting better on defense. If there's one part of his game that's not as good, is like he can be a defensive liability at times. That was one of the biggest criticisms in New York. Well, he knows this, and in some ways, now that he feels less pressure to be so much on offense like he did in New York, he can put more energy into the defensive side of things. So people that think that RJ has no room to grow, or he's kind of who he is already as an NBA player at this point in his career, are wrong. He's going to start doing things on the defensive end, more concentrated and working on his game on that side. He wants to be known as a two-way player, and he's definitely not known as that right now. So that's going to be interesting with that. Now with Quickly, oh my gosh, that guy, he can do whatever he wants. He's the one guy in the Raptors history that I will say you have the green light to shoot it wherever you want, whenever you want. I don't care. That dude can do whatever he wants because it's going to be fun. And get used to him working harder and harder and getting better and better as the starting point guard of the Raptors for the future. And he's bought in. He's fully bought in. He's showing all the signs of the togetherness with his team on the Raptors. I don't think there's any question that he will not be a Raptor next year. He was going to be one for sure. He is definitely going to be a Raptor next year, and he will sign with us this summer. Some people have been worried about that a little bit. Not me so much. Most saying, way to bring up VC a bit today. Yeah, I don't really needed a Monday moment, and I saw that yesterday was 25 years since Vince Carter won Rookie of the Year. And that's a 25-year milestone, I guess. 25 years is a good milestone. So why not bring it up? Vince being the Roy, second Roy in Raptors history after Damon Stoudemire. Yeah, let's see. Back to Denver, Bruce, laugh out loud. Yeah, that'd be interesting if Denver picked up Bruce back and they said, my bad, we shouldn't have let you go. We found out this year that in some ways we need you as an X factor off the bench. That would be interesting. I don't know. I'm hearing Bruce Brown to Miami. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. That one makes sense, really, because in some ways, Miami he's that kind of player and that kind of place. I could see this. Because this is the thing they're saying. They're saying Bruce Brown for Duncan Robbins. Yeah, like saying that we bring one of the shooters from them up to us for Bruce Brown. And like a sign and trade around the draft. That it could be Duncan Robinson. I've also heard possibilities and rumors, and this may not be possible, of Tyler Hero. That Miami may be ready to move on from Tyler Hero, and that Bruce Brown and the money with Tyler Hero is about even. And it could be that could be who we're getting for now. Think about that. Who is saying we don't think that we have enough shooters? If all of a sudden we got either Duncan Robinson or Tyler Hero up here with Grady Dick and Scotty and everybody, that could be very interesting. If we flip Bruce Brown really well this summer, and that's what I expect. That Bruce Brown's going to be dealt in some sort of really cool way. That it's going to be one of these things where everybody's like, why did we not trust him, Masai? Like, why do we even doubt Masai Ujiri? He's amazing. Look? I mean, everybody's on him right now because of losing the draft pick to the Spurs. But that always happens. It's like people come at Masai and say, "Oh, you're shitty at your job. You've been doing bad." And then all of a sudden he does like a crazy ass move, and everybody's like, "Okay, yeah, no, he's not shitty at his job." That's kind of the pattern with Masai Ujiri, I've noticed. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Ashraf saying, my biggest concern is that we need major improvements in all categories. Development, coaching, all starters have to take next steps. It's too much to ask for. Is it though? Is it though? Because listen, you got to think about this. All right, Darko was in Memphis, and he was with Desmond Bain, Jaren Jackson Jr., Zaire Williams, Santi Aldama. All those guys made leaps kind of at the same time, and the Grizzlies became really good all of a sudden. So you've got to not underestimate the power of Darko to get better things out of players quickly. And quickly is one of them. Seriously. Like, I would say this. 2 stories this year you should look at from this past year of the Raptors are Scotty and Grady. Scotty Barnes made a huge leap this year, and he's continuing to make a huge leap. Him and Darko have a shared future interest. They have a vision of what Scotty should become in the next couple of years. Darko has said that he sees Scotty being like Giannis in certain ways, that he wants to teach Scotty how to play more like Giannis and to do more Giannis-like things on the court for the Raptors. So they have a vision of what Scotty's going to look like in like 2 or 3 years from now, and Scotty's fully on board with it. He loves Darko. He loves Darko's ideas for what he wants to mold him into. So never underestimate a willing pupil. Interesting story over the long term with Darko and Scotty is that Darko has a vision for him. Scotty's bought into it, and they are working towards the same goal. Now, Grady is an interesting story about this because you got to think about the tale of 2 halves of the season. The first half of the season, a complete failure for Grady Dick. In fact, it looked like he might be a bust and a really bad draft pick. Well, they did a very tough weightlifting training with him around Christmas. And it absolutely changed everything around for him. And you saw the second half of the season, he was one of the better shooters as a rookie for the second half of the season. That is the on-the-job first year developing of Darko and his staff with Grady, and specifically Ivo Siminovich, who was shooting coach with Darko for Darko for Gary and Grady. He specifically worked with Trent Jr. and Dick this whole year. And I'm telling you, there's things I'm seeing right now out of Kansas with Grady and his personal workouts with his trainer this summer, where he's working on new catch and shoots at the top of the key and a lot of things with people running at him. So he has got a very detailed projects to do this summer to enhance certain skills that Darko has told him he needs to go do. Like every single one of the Raptors who are coming back next year have skills that they're all going out to work on this summer. And when they come back, hopefully they can all show more to show. The other thing I would say is that the core that we have, that we kind of built this year after trades, hasn't really had a good chance to all be together healthy. Like even like Kelly and Abaji, when they showed up, there really wasn't that much time after that until Scotty and Jakob got hurt. So we haven't really seen them get a good stretch run of games together where they're all collectively healthy in there. And that's when you can understand how good they can be. Because you can't just gauge it on the end of the year, my guy. You really got to think about this clearly with all them healthy and the ability to be together and understand each other better and meld. And that will change things quickly. Just like quickly. All right, let's see. Ashraf saying, I agree. Nick Nurse and Van Vliet did incalculable damage. I don't know if that there was damage by Nick because in some ways he was a fake coach for the Raptors this last year. He sabotaged our team the last year he was here. He had the intention to go to the Sixers the whole year, but he knew that if he was too successful with the Raptors, we wouldn't let him go because he was under contract for this past year. He had to be fired. So what he did was he kind of like what players would do, shave points off games. He shaved wins off our season. There were games in the last year of Nick Nurse that we should have won that were very close. And in the past, we would have won. I paid attention. It was like, okay, this is where this happens and this happens. Nick coaches them, and then boom, we win. Just dropped the ball. He was not trying hard enough. If Vince Carter didn't try his last year as a player for the Raptors, Nick Nurse did the same damn shit as a coach in his last year of coaching the Raptors. So fuck him. He did do a very bad damage to our team in that way. Fred, I don't think he really did damage. It's just that Fred went and took the money, and he needed to go to another team. In some ways, I'm not upset with Fred at all. Fred is a great storied, important Raptor in Raptors history, and I'm very proud of Fred VanVleet. So I wouldn't say that he did damage. Nick did, definitely. Definitely, Nick did. Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah. Let's see. Like, for instance, is it okay if we don't have Halliburton? Those guys don't grow on trees, but why don't we have McConnell type or Neesmith or Nemhard? Well, I mean, you got to just have your own kind of pieces, and you make your own jigsaw puzzle. You know, you can't have every puzzle have the same picture, or it's boring. And a lot of the pieces won't, you can't have, you know, you got to figure out your pieces for what you got. And now the most important thing, and this is what Masai said, is the hardest thing to get is Scotty. Scotty Barnes is a top-notch player, a superstar, and that is the hardest thing to acquire. Any GM will say that. So the hardest part is done for the Raptors. They just got to build around him and make him look good with people like RJ and Emmanuel. So that's the thing. We can figure out pieces and it makes sense to be around him. Now, I feel like this season we went too much in the direction of trading away our Vision 6'9", long-armed kind of players like Precious, OG, and Pascal. And I feel like we need to come back and get a few more of those players coming back because we looked small for the second half of the season with Jakob and Scotty out. I really am a big proponent of having 3 centers on the roster. I'm really a big proponent of having players that really contribute in very specific niche skill ways. And Nebhard and Neesmith and people like that are those kind of guys. We just have you know, we've done a really good job of building guys out of nothing, whether it's VanVleet, Anunoby, Siakam. These guys are at huge heights now. And that's what I'm saying. We got to find the guys that are coming up on the escalator that are not known and come up with them again. That's the secret to our success the first time. And if we can recapture it in any kind of way like that, that's the way we'll do it. That's the way we'll do it. So, yeah, you know, our puzzle is just going to be a different picture. As of saying, I don't like Duncan Robinson, ridiculous contract. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, those are just examples I've heard as far as with Bruce Brown, that they're saying that he could possibly turn around and be something like that. Yeah, his contract's a little crazy. But on the other side of things, he's a really tall shooter, and he would be added to our arsenal of different shooters. And that could be very fruitful in some ways. Hi, hello. Who's that? Let me see. I can't see your name. It's Fatu Till. I just joined. I subscribed. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. He's saying I'm okay with the pick being conveyed. I didn't like 3 draft picks for Pirtle, Siakam, and OG. Should have been traded earlier, but oh well. You know, Masai really wanted to give respect to that core and giving them a chance to do something in this past fall. But they didn't. I mean, I really did see that core should have worked. In some ways, Nick really screwed them up. The last year that he was there, he really messed them up and kind of messed up their drive because he made it very confusing about what was happening on our team. And they really got in a weird place. And in some ways, that's why Fred had to leave. That's why Pascal and OG is better that they're gone. And maybe we're returning and refilling the team with new people because some of the energy from Knicks last year was bad, very, very bad. And we just kind of need to clear the air. And it's weird because after we made the trades with Siakam and Anunoby going to other places, the locker room felt lighter and just kind of like a new thing. And everybody's kind of like feeling, okay, now we can get back to work and not feel distracted from weird things. Because if people knew that in some ways Anunoby was probably going to leave, people knew that Siakam, you know, in some ways, maybe the time with him being on our team was going to be up because we need to reinvest in Scotty's level, himself, and then people around his age in some ways. So that just kind of was what it got to at that point. So let's see. Great. They wanted to give a respectful chance for them, and he traded them finally at a good time. I feel like the OG trade was really good. The Siakam trade is still in some ways. I'm worried about that trade kind of looking bad in the future, but the draft picks will determine that, and one of them will be the 19th pick in this draft, and one of them will be a pick next year. And also, we already got Kelly and Abaji in some ways for one of those draft picks from Indiana. So there's the return for Siakam is kind of a little bit here already, but most of it's coming in the future. And we won't be able to gauge the Siakam trade for a while from our end. Meanwhile, with the New York trade, you can gauge it because RJ and Emmanuel are going to pay off in dividends right away. But there's stuff in the future that's going to come that'll make the Siakam trade look better over time. Watch. That's how I kind of look at it with that. Let's see. Asha was saying, Grady is the reason I don't want Duncan Robinson. We need to target a true point guard as a starter or backup. Yeah. I've liked the idea of getting like Corey Joseph to come back. I know he's very old, and in some ways he may be near the end of his career, but he's really, really smart. He's on Team Canada, and he's played extensively with Kelly Olynyk and RJ Barrett. So in some ways there's a chemistry and a familiarity that's already there. Of course, he's from Pickering. Of course, he was on the Raptors before. In some ways, he's a steady backup point guard that actually would do the job exactly how kind of I would like it. So I'm not interested in getting a young player and trying to train them as a point guard. The only guy that I would do that with right now is Marquise Noel. Like, I don't think Javon Freeman Liberty is a true point guard himself. I think Marquise is. And if Marquise can get past the whole height thing, as far as like him being able to play in the NBA, I think that Marquise will be a badass. Watching him on 905 this year, he's such a good passer. And he's a true point guard. So in some ways, if he could be like Fred and say, all right, I'm the fourth point guard on the Raptors depth chart, I want him to rise up like Fred VanVleet did before me, then Marquise Noel could end up being in the backup point guard picture by the end of this year. In fact, he's already kind of said things on his Instagram stories that he wants that, and that Scotty's saying we're going in the NBA and not playing the G League. So I'm more interested in a veteran point guard, but if it's going to be a young guy, I want it to be Marquise. Is kind of what I'm saying. Yeah. Let's see. New Thousand saying, do you agree with the narrative going around that the Raps should try to get back OG? Well, this is the funny, like I've heard this a couple times about both Pascal and OG, where there's certain Raptor fans that really don't like them being gone, and they're saying, well, why don't we just sign them this offseason? That could be weird. I mean, if that happened and like Masai like turned around and spent some of our money this summer on getting guys that we already had back, I feel like that would have been roundabout, and we should have just kind of invested in them when we had like birds rights and different things going on with them. I don't know. I don't think this is likely. I mean, sure, we all love OG. We all miss him. He is obviously a great factor to winning. But in some ways, our time with him is past. And once again, his price is going to be crazy, y'all. Somebody's going to pay him some crazy amount this summer. Watch. And in some ways, I don't want to get guys that are already known and they're getting paid for being known. I want to get guys that are getting paid nothing and aren't known and build into becoming known. And do you understand what I'm saying? So in some ways, it's like we make guys like VanVleet and Anunoby and Siakam. But when we make them, well, they can go to other places and play other places and get paid that really big money. And in some ways, we want to continue to get young people and get the spoils of them getting better on cheaper contracts. Does that make any sense? Like this may be part of the thing with Gary Trent Jr. this summer. Is Gary at that point where he's ready to get a big contract, but maybe not totally worth it because his inconsistency? That's what we have to think about when we're putting money into things. You got to think about people like Lonzo Ball. You got to think about people like Tobias Harris. You got to think about people like Duncan Robinson. And you don't want to invest so much money in crazy, like bad things. So as HK is saying, I think PG and center takes the longest to develop. So if we have that shored up, we can build the rest. Yeah. Like I say that part of the reason why the Pirtle trade's awesome is that short up center. And we didn't have a short up center since Marc Gasol left. And then Emmanuel, he's going to be showing up that point guard as time goes on, and I really do think it's going to end up being Scotty's the backup point guard, and there may be a third point guard that's kind of hopefully a vet point guard that can kind of steady things and give another look to, it'd be cool if Chris Paul came here, like that'd be really weird and interesting. Like if I know he probably wouldn't, but if Chris Paul was the veteran point guard off the bench for the Raptors next year, that'd be awesome. But I don't know if that's very likely. It's not very likely. Let's see. But they let Noel go. I think he's being released. No, this is the thing. They did waive Marquise Noel in the middle of the season, but it was because he pulled his hamstring in the G League and he couldn't play for the rest of the season. And but then he came back and played. And just because he's waived by us doesn't mean he's not connected to us still. He has been at our facilities in the last week, working out at OVO Center, and he's still representing Raptors on all of his social medias. So Marquise will be in Las Vegas in a Raptors jersey next month. I think it's next month or it's in June or July. It's after the NBA playoffs are over. Yeah, he's going to be at Summer League, and he said he's got business to take care of there. And he's showing stuff like him in a Raptors jersey and him wanting to be on the team. So the Raptors have made it clear to him he's still with us. It's just that it's one of those house cleaning moves when we waived him that moment. He took it really badly, and he was like, I don't ever want to be waived. He got all proud, and he thought that he was never going to be on the Raptors, but he didn't realize that it was just kind of like a business move to house clean, and we needed to shuffle things around. It's really because of this. It was because we needed the two ways to play because we had no players because everybody's hurt. And because Marquise was hurt himself, he could not play as one of our two ways. So we had to waive him from the two-way spot so we could give it to Mohamedou and Javon Freeman Liberty and DJ Carton and those guys. So that we had, it's the same kind of thing with Ron Harper Jr. We waived him in the middle of the season because he got hurt, a season-ending injury, and we needed the two-way spot open. So we turned it around and it became like DJ Carton. So Marquise is still involved with the Raptors, just so you know. So don't worry about that. Yeah. How much would you pay for Quickly? Well, I'm hearing that the number is going to be around 25 million a year, maybe 20 million a year, somewhere between 20 and 25 million a year. Some people are trying to say it's going to be like 30 million a year. I don't think so. We'll see how it is. In some ways, there's been a couple of point guard signings recently, and they've been right around 20 million where they've been. So I think it'll be right around there, maybe 20 to 25. As of saying, also, we shouldn't have traded for Trent Jr. and should have kept Norman Powell. The contracts weren't off by much. I would rather pay for production. I like the Denver model. Actually, at that time, Powell was about to get paid. And this was a good example of what I was just talking about, where it's kind of like when you get a car and you have a car for a couple of years and you want to like take the model in and get the new model. And you kind of get the same amount of paid the same. That's all it was. Like in some ways, now Powell was about to get paid. Like they may have been paid similar like at that time, but Powell was just getting to the next level in his career where he gets a bigger contract out of rookie kind of stuff and the mid-level contract and stuff. So in some ways, that was part of the reason why, all right, we're going to get a younger guy who plays the same role, but we can pay him less and develop him. Now Gary's getting to that point where Norman was when we made that decision to switch Norman for Gary. So that's kind of what happened there. Let's see. As of saying, consistent production has cost the minutes. You think you have consistent players, you pay them. Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened with Gary this year. I feel like it really was an injury that was holding him back for most of the season, making him look bad. He had no lift on his feet in the beginning of the year, and he was really bad. He did catch up a little bit in the middle of the season and was better near the end. And very, very more consistent in the games where everybody was hurt and we actually absolutely needed him. I don't know. In some ways, I really love Gary's loyalty. I love the legacy player that he is with his father. But also, I agree. He made me very frustrated in the last few years with how inconsistent he is. But that's just how it is. He's a feast or famine street shooter. He's a classic John Starks. And in some ways, that's just part of his player profile. Sometimes he can really help you and get you going, and sometimes he can't. Now, in Gary's defense, This season, he had to change his game completely from the last year of Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse let him dribble and shoot and do all kinds of stuff with the ball that Darko did not let him do this year. He had to pass it quicker. He couldn't put the ball on the floor every single time he touched the ball, which is what he likes to do. He likes to take a little dribble step and step to the side. No, at this point, Darko said, look, you have a 0.5 second offense. You've got to analyze in a split second whether you should need to pass it to the next guy or not. And Gary had to adjust to that. Him and Siakam had to adjust to that this year. And they both did pretty good at the beginning of the year because it was not normal. I mean, like what they were used to with what Nick did with them the year before. They really, really just let them do like one-on-one, trying to beat people. Well, Gary had to be more of like catch and shoot, like spot shooter. It's coming around the horn. And well, if you're open, shoot it then. But if you're not, don't try and make room by a dribble, step, something like that. So that's a big reason why it was different for him. Yeah. Let's see. What else are we saying here? Raphael is saying Raptors need to get moved. Yeah, we're going to move to the next championship. Get moved where, motherfucker? Where do you think they're going to go? This is the thing. Toronto makes money. And that's what the NBA is all about. So where the fuck are they going to move to, motherfucker? They ain't going to go nowhere, Raphael. What are you, one of the Ninja Turtles? Nah, they're in Toronto to stay. Maybe Vancouver lost their team, but Toronto won't. The money's too good. We just got a WNBA team. You think we're fucking going to lose our NBA team? You're an idiot. All right, let's keep going. Asif is saying Norman was better two-way, and his eventual cost was $20 million a year, and Trent was $15 million a year. Yeah, I guess that's you know what? I'll agree with that. I'll agree. Now, this is the thing, though. Now, Gary became a much better defensive player for a while there. I think that when Gary played with Fred, he was really good defensively. I mean, look at all the steals he used to get, and the way him and Fred used to trap was really, really good. Now, he hasn't recaptured that kind of magic with the guys that are on the team right now, which is too bad. Because that combo of Van Vliet and Trent Jr. was absolutely amazing as half-court pressure. Really, really, really good. And in some ways, that magic has not been recaptured to help Gary steals and make him look better as a two-way player since Fred left last summer. So I'll agree with this as far as like Powell is a better defensive player than Trent. And yeah, the $5 million is actually a very big number, just so you know. $15 million a year versus $20 million a year is actually a pretty wide gap. Let's see. We are seeing all four teams in the conference finals use 0.5 offense. Yeah. I have to be honest. I'm not watching the games in the playoffs right now because I'm on vacation. I'm in Estonia, and in some ways, I just don't have the time. And the games are on at weird times here because it's in the middle of the night. So, but I'm going back to Canada tomorrow, so I'll be back in Toronto tomorrow. So, let's see. And also, MLSE should allow Masai some flexibility with the cap, so he could have signed OG and Siakam and then trade them this year, but it was under pressure. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ambiguous talk about like how much we're cash strapped. You know, Bobby Webster's been asked this in the past. And he said, no, there's no issues with us not being able to spend money. And I believe that they're right. It's just that we're very wise about it. I think that one of the things that the Raptors front office is about is they're very methodical. And they don't like make moves just to make for the sake of making moves. That's part of the reason why we made very few trades in the last few years. Is that we're going to do something, we want to do it right the first time. And a lot of teams will just make trades. And just because they need to move somebody or they need to do this, well, we're trying to circle and get a whole bunch of things done with one move. Like, you know, a lot of the things we're doing is like very intricately mastercrafted. Like I would say the OG trade to New York to get RJ and Emmanuel and everything that happened, that was very well crafted because it was very, very well thought out with the pieces of what was going where. Whether you could go all the way to the pick that we got in that deal and just how well thought out it was to get the 31st pick of this draft, the first pick in the second round. And what I've been telling Raptors fans is the reason why this was so brilliant and smart by Masai is that the 31st pick is likely to be just as good as the picks in the 20s. But because it's the first pick in the second round, the cash money that has to be paid to that pick is different bracket than a first round pick. So in some ways, we may get a player that's just as talented as the 25th pick or the 23rd pick at the 31st pick, and we don't have to pay them as much because they're a second round pick. And that in some ways is really smart. So what they did is basically they turned Precious, OG, and Malachi into starting point guard, a second banana that's absolutely a hometown hero and on Team Canada and beloved, and somebody that's like in some ways, listen, you can't pay. It's priceless having Kelly Olynyk and RJ Barrett on the Raptors right now, because there's a connection. There's a thing about them being hometown guys and being Canadian and just living their dream of playing for a team. RJ plays different for the Raptors than he plays for the Knicks. He plays different than the other Raptors play for the Raptors because he's playing for the town, the place that he grew up in. And that really does mean something. And the fact that we've come to this point in Raptors history where we can have high-level NBA players that actually play for the Raptors is really, really good. Now, there's very high-level Canadians in the NBA at this point, and that the future is really bright to have very good Canadian players on the Raptors consistently going forward. And that's what I hope for. That's why I want to get somebody like Corey Joseph, is because he does really have that connection with our city and our players on our team already. Even though he's been here before, it'd be a nice little bookend to things. If he's still going to play, he may be too old. He might need to retire. Who knows? So let's see what else you guys are saying. Hindsight is 2020. OG trade was good, but we got nothing for Siakam in comparison. Look how well the trade for Gobert worked out. Well, that's the thing. I thought, all right, I don't even know who won that trade, though, at this point. I said at the time Utah won that trade by far, getting such a kit and caboodle from the Timberwolves. But now it looks like Gobert and the success of the Timberwolves is actually showing through. I thought the Twin Tower experiment with Gobert and Towns would be a failure, and I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. It's turned out it took a couple of years to get it going in the right way, and it's actually working really well. Now, I don't know what you mean by this exactly, because I don't know who lost that trade at this point between Utah and Minnesota, because it's worked out really well for both of them. Now, if we're talking about getting all the picks and stuff, so we would be like Utah in this deal, and Minnesota would be Indiana as far as Siakam is Gobert. Well, that's the thing. We got to see where these picks and who they are. We have to identify the people that these picks turn into, and then we can kind of gauge it better. I mean, you can't just say Bruce Brown, Jordan Nwora, and we don't know anything yet. Otherwise, although Abaji, you could kind of say is part of the Pascal deal too, just because one of those first round picks we got from Indiana went to Utah when we got Olynyk and Abaji. Abaji is a really good young player, and you're going to see that more and more in the future. It's really good that we picked him up. All right, let's see. Would you target anyone's bench players from the Celtics? Cornette, for instance, draft Edie. I like another 7-footer from Africa. I can't remember the name. Yeah, I mean, this draft, I want to draft big. I don't want to draft any guards. If the Raptors draft a guard, I'm going to be mad. I don't want them to get any guards. They've got to get somebody with a wingspan. And the names that I like, Zach Edey's number one on the list. Because, once again, he's got the Team Canada connection. He's already playing with Olynyk. He's played with Olynyk for 4 years. He knows RJ really well. He's playing for his hometown. In some ways, that is a benefit and a thing that really does help your team. There's a little bit extra passion. There's a little bit extra loyalty. There's a little bit extra, like, doing it for your city with RJ Barrett and Kelly Olynyk, and it would be the same way with Zach Edey also. And that's why I really do want to collect more Canadians as we can. Now, Zach's getting projected top 15 now, and we're 19. I will tell you this, if Zach Edey is not drafted by the 19th pick, we might pick him. And I would be all about that. I really would. Because some of the criticisms about Zach are wrong. He has a three-point shot, and he also has a very good lateral movement that people are not understanding that. I watched him for Team Canada last summer. This dude is good. He's very good. And the new NBAs can be very tall with Wembanyama and Holmgren. We need a 7'4" guy on the Raptors, and that project is going to take a while. Like you said earlier, point guards and centers take the longest to develop. Let's get that center project down the road coming. Since Koloko not work out, we need to go. And the other guy I really like is Kel Ware. If we could get Kel Ware, I would say that Masai get Kel Ware. That dude's gonna be really good. I can tell. And Bobby is not bad. Bobby Clinton. There's also Missy. Missy's an interesting one around that place in the draft. We'll have to see. Some people are talking about Flipovich or whatever from Duke, the shooter. Yeah, it's got to be somebody who's a center is who I want to draft, especially at 19. And the first pick in the second round, a lot of people are mock drafting Ryan Dunn at that spot. But who knows? If there's somebody who falls out of the first round that's really kind of should have been a first rounder. I said Koloko was like that. Koloko should have been a first rounder, but he fell in the second round and we got him on the cheap. And that was pretty good. That was pretty good. Let's see. We got 3 picks, and one of them is in 2026. Yeah, we got 3 picks. One of them is this year. It's the 19th pick. One of them is 2 years from now, 2026. And then the third one was traded to Utah. So one of them's already gone. We traded it to Utah. Let's see. I agree with that wholeheartedly. 7 foot is the new 6'6". Yeah, this league is getting bigger. The skills are better and bigger guys. That's the way that it's evolving. 7-footers, you would just be happy if they could run back in the day. Now, they need to be able to shoot threes and do everything else. And it's Victor and them are the harbingers of the new NBA. And the Raptors don't want to get left behind because they don't have any plus 7-foot guys on the team. Now, I have a very interesting theory, Asha. If maybe the kryptonite for these really tall guys is a guy like Marquise Noel. A 5'7" guy like Muggsy Bogues, kind of short guy, maybe the guy that can kind of hurt these really tall guys because they're so speedy and quick to get around, and these guys are so tall and they dribble so high. Yeah, a little guy like Marquise could be the kind of the antibody or the antidote for the really, really tall players. I could see that. In some ways, that it's an issue. If you have the dribble so high and there's a little guy who's playing on a quick level, on a very low level, yeah, it could be very interesting to see that. I know that sounds logically crazy, but he's also saying, I'm hoping Masai in the front office knocks it out of the park. I trust in Masai. That's one of the biggest things we do on this channel, and I'm glad you guys found me this morning. And please, come back every day. I'll be on 9:30 a.m. Eastern time normally. That's 4:30 p.m. Europe time that I'm at right now. So yeah, every single day we talk Raptors here, and I have a live interactive live stream where I read the comments and always talk to commenters. So I hope you guys will join me again. Tomorrow is Tuesday, and we usually do a Tuesday trivia, which is fun. We do Raptors trivia every Tuesday, but I'm still traveling, so it'll be a short kind of update version like today. But the regular stream when I'm back home is amazing. There's all kinds of fun Raptors stuff. If you're a huge Raptors fan, this is definitely your channel to watch. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me today. I appreciate all the great comments and questions. And yeah, trust in Masai. I do. I feel like there's very intricate planning and puzzle making that Bobby and Masai are doing right now, and that you can kind of see it starting to form more in a picture as far as like some of the core guys that we've been collecting since we started doing trades mid-season last season. So I'm excited about the future. I like the idea of being a more passing offense with Darko's scheme. And the joy of watching young players like Scotty, RJ, Emmanuel, and Grady get better and better is going to be part of the fun for Raptors fans. Another thing I want to say is this culture we live in today is all win or nothing. And it's stupid. In some ways, we need to take success. These players that play in the NBA are so top-notch and amazing, and it's so hard to do. But it's just failure unless you're in the absolute top. It's bullshit. There's so much success around the NBA that should be celebrated and rewarded and talked about, even if it's individual success, even if it's just a player that improved or made progress. We should shine a light more on those kind of things more often than being so hypercritical and so crazy about these players. They play in a very, 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 very difficult league. And this hyper, criticism, just like really looking at them like, oh my gosh, this and this, oh yeah, but they didn't win. it really doesn't do justice to actually how gifted and talented and amazing most of the players in the NBA are. So I don't know. I'll leave it on that note, and I'll read your last little clip part here. They need to get bench depth. That's it when we make the playoffs. Well, we'll see if we can get something going this year. And who knows? Maybe we're in the play-in next year. Maybe we're straight up in the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised by that, honestly. I always think very positive. I am definitely a glasses half full kind of person. But I feel like there's so many negative people about the Raptors, like overly negative, that I want to balance it. So, all right, y'all. Thanks for watching once again. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll be back tomorrow. Trust in Messiah, and let's go Raptors. Let's go Raptors. Let's draft Zach. Let's draft Zach.